Food and weight obsession can be exhausting. Losing weight, gaining weight, dieting, feeling like a failure because you missed a workout, binged, overate, or gained all the weight back. The cycle is endless and it can be maddening. But I'm here to say you can stop the mental madness. You can take back control of your food behaviors, but you have to face your fears, you have to ask for help, and make a change. I am Leslie M. Thornton, permanent weight loss coach from hpwl.co. This is Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss, and I know you can make this happen. On this podcast, you will hear how to stop the mental madness, love your body, trust your food decisions so you can create a life of happiness, freedom, and inner peace.
Okay.
All right. Hello. Leslie M. Thornton, Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss. Today we have our special guest, Ann Duffy, with us. I am going to read Ann's bio, and we're so excited to hear her story today. So Ann Duffy, I've had the pleasure of meeting, is the CEO and founder of Dental Entrepreneur Woman. During her 45 years in dentistry, Ann Duffy realized something important was missing: women in leadership, which has been a topic I've been talking to our audience about a lot lately. So we're definitely going to get into that. Ann decided to do something about it. Thank you for that. She created Do Life magazine and founded Dental Entrepreneur Woman. Her goal is to help women in dentistry shine, inspire, empower, and connect. And for young women just entering the profession, she wants to help them discover all the real opportunities that exist in dentistry. In other words, she encourages them to just do it. And I can say, as a woman who is not in dentistry and is just a stand for women to be their best selves and come together in community and just shine, in whatever way makes the biggest difference. And you absolutely are the greatest leader for that, even though I just met you, to be that example of shining for women as well. So thank you for being here and willing to share, your story for our audience to inspire them as well, Ann.
Well, Leslie, thank you so much for having me. I loved meeting you just a couple of weeks ago, and as usual, through a mutual friend. The best way, we say good people find good people, and you are a do, Leslie. You have a toe in dentistry, and if you do, you're a dental entrepreneur woman. That's the way I look at it, because we're women first, and then we just happen to have all these other verticals that or I would say plates that we spin, right? And I know you're spinning a lot of plates.
100%, as I think so many women are, and just that relationship building aspect, I've been really leaning into recently, of just good people attract good people. And something I always am talking to our clients about is, the 5 people you hang out with the most is who you become. And, to consciously create who you're surrounding yourself with, and to just lead with service and, how can I help? And lately, yourself included, just been bombarded with a lot of people, and they happen to be in dentistry. So grateful for the connections, and together we can fly farther. Yeah. So would love to hear, Ann, for our audience, of, just your story. I know, you shared bits of it with me, but a lot of it will be new for me around, how, you created this business, where you were before, maybe, or just any parts of your path that you think were kind of turning points. I know you're doing the Clifton strengths, the Gallup strengths, which you gifted me, was such a helpful part of your path, and now part of mine. And, whatever you're willing to share that would inspire the audience would be great.
Well, I don't know, Leslie. I think back on it. I like to tell women, especially, that, don't be disappointed in where you are, because wherever you are is where you're supposed to be. I have a lot of women that say, I wish I would have done this before. And I'm just getting started. And for all of you that are listening, I'm a late bloomer. I was 42 before I took my first step into a side gig, if you will. Before that, I was raising, 3 kids with my husband. We were moving all over the country. And I was working a day here, 2 days there in dental hygiene, which is a beautiful career, to be able to do that, and still keep your hand in it, so to speak, and pun intended. But got a side gig because I actually needed to make more money and needed to be at home with the kids and have a flexible schedule, which is different. I think back then than it is now, because I do think those flexible schedules are more available to men and women in the community. But that's when I got started. And it's funny because you are working with women in weight loss, and women and men, I believe, right, Leslie?
Primarily women, but men too. Yep.
Yeah. And so I actually was my first side gig was a toothpaste and mouthrinse company, where I sold a toothpaste that I totally believed in, and I still use it to this day, even though the company's like kind of dead to me because they don't pay their people anymore, because it was a networking company, right? So I never thought I'd be in one of the network marketing companies, but I landed in that, and I loved the leadership and the development, personal development that I gained in that company. But we did have, as I grew in that company, toothpaste and mouth rinse, there was a side of weight loss and nutritions and nutritionals. And looking back on that, I totally forgot about this, Leslie, because our daughter at the time was overweight, and she was like the spokesperson. It was like a natural thing, and she lost, I think, like 60 pounds on the particular program. But of course, you don't keep it off because you don't have the mindset. But back then I didn't know what I was talking about. Luckily, she got her act together and her mindset together, and is now in great health and strong, and exactly where she wants to be. But I really admire the fact that you're helping women with the mind, body, spirit that it takes to have a healthy body, because then you'll have a healthy life, and you're going to like yourself better, all those things. So anyway, kudos to you for taking that on to a new arena. And then again, you and I talked about the hypnosis, and how I remember just recently having a stop, and had a session with a hypnosis expert, and got through it. So I really love your and my relationship, because I think we have so much synergy. And back to the original point, women are late bloomers. We really discover our, what we like, what we're good at, when our time and our life opens up a little bit for us to be able to think about ourselves, right? And so that's what I did. I was 42, and then one opportunity would present itself, and to another, and to another, and to another. And all I did was say, yes. Oh, I think I can do that. Oh, yes, I think I can do that. And then slowly, some of the things that I didn't particularly care for, like kind of fell off my radar. But I always was learning to, living to grow, and realize that at that time in my life that I could grow, and there was a reason to grow, and that I could have a vision. Because before that, it never even occurred to me that I might have something greater to do in this world than just that. I shouldn't say just be a wife, a mother, and all of those things that we get to be fairly naturally. It was a little bit more beyond that, maybe something bigger when my time opened up. And so here I am now, through all those different opportunities. I was upset with somebody being bullied in her review, and she's a woman, and she was in dentistry. And I was like, dang, I'm going to start something to highlight the amazing women in dentistry, because as you got to meet them recently at Vanessa Emerson's Weevolution, women in dentistry are smart, driven, they love beauty, they're caring. I mean, they are pretty amazing. And as in most career paths, women are still sitting in the back seat. So it was just my way, my calling, if you will, the time in my life when I felt like I had the bandwidth, the drive, and the will and the courage to actually start a movement. And as we talked earlier, good do's find good do's. So you tend to gather people that are, that like your cause and want to be part of it.
100%. Yeah. And I really appreciate what you're saying around just every person being exactly where they should be on their path right now. Cause I know, most of my clientele are in that period of life, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, right? And they're kind of starting to wake up a little now that kids are gone away or they're becoming grandparents, and there is that spaciousness, and they are starting to ask themselves those deeper questions. And who am I without this? And is there actually something more in that calling? And I know something we've connected on is our, spirituality and just having faith and that whole path. And just think that can help a lot of people of like, regardless of what's happening, on your path right now, or like it's all happening exactly as it should. And I know for myself, and I'd be curious for you, and like, I just did a solo podcast on this recently of just kind of looking at life and like, where in my life does it feel like there's something like an area that it's like crunchy, like the energy is kind of, stuck, or it's just not too great or whatever. And just like knowing like that's the place to get support in, of just being like, okay, not a problem, like, but take action on it and find, there always is an answer. And then once that's taken care of, even if I'm in the process of working through that or whatever, which obviously was my experience with hypnosis and the weight loss, then that's what allows me to actually have the spaciousness to continue to hear the calling and to continue taking action towards, what, God or spirit is actually asking of me to do, and step into, and, abide by my strengths and know myself better so that I can help more people and, help other people wake up to what's possible for themselves as well. So, and I'm curious for you, has it been similar as far as like looking at, just taking care of life in that way? Or
Well, I think it started with me, and this is why I'm so passionate about Strength Finders. It started like, when I took that assessment like 14 years ago, I was like, oh, my top 5 strengths popped out. And, I talked about this. When I took it, I believed that it was like, centered around God, and they were God-given talents that he gave to me in the womb because he knew what I was capable of, or he knew what I was made for. Right. So I think since that moment, I really did start to lean into, yeah, I'm good at this. And it lines up with me like running a movement, publishing a magazine. I mean, all those things were like, okay, this is what I'm good at. I'm going to continue on this path. And so it was fun until you have to start doing the techie stuff or the strategic stuff, which I'm not good at. And to your point, then you start to, as you build whatever you're building, you bring other people in that have other strengths and other gifts than I have to run the things that I don't like to do and I'm not very good at, because that's when my blood pressure goes up, is when I am like doing something that I just can't figure out. And tech is I mean, I'm pretty good at it now, but not through a lot of angst and high blood pressure, if you ask me. I mean, I don't take any medications for blood pressure, but sometimes I'm in the middle of trying to figure something out off the computer. I feel like I could use something to lower it. That's when I need to step back and take a deep breath, right, and manage my own thoughts.
I'm with you, Ann, on that. I get
Yeah.
all sorts of angry and hot-headed at technology, and that is not for me. So
I know
again,
it.
leading in with the strengths. And I know that that's like, I feel like when I'm speaking with you, like that's a filter you're like running everything through, which I think is really helpful as a leader, and as a way to save a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of stress, blood pressure, right? Anxiety, if you just know yourself really well and make decisions based off that authenticity of who you are.
Yeah. And I think that also says to the listeners, all you listeners out there, you have to do the inside work. It is not like I didn't dive in. I did dive into the strengths thing. I because it resonated with me. So, I mean, what resonates with you? And if it does, on a positive note, because I do believe that positive thinking is very, very helpful, then just lean into that. And not only that, Leslie, like I took it a step further, and this is just on my journey. I did a retreat on seeking purpose, because I felt like, okay, so now I know what I'm good at. What are the magic charisms, if you will, that I have that will really send me into the next decade, like not wasting my time. and the talents that I have been given. And I really feel like when you look at yourself and you kind of do the work and get some help, talk to your friends, talk to people, say, hey, what do you see? What do you think I'm good at? And then, when you start to listen to these things and people keep saying, you're really good at that. You're really good at that. You're really good at that. You have to say, okay, well, I'm meant for this. And then they find a path to take to use those talents, so that at the end of all this, on our way up to heaven, we look back and we say, wow, good and faithful servant. Thank you very much. I did another little, I told Tom, my husband, this the other day. This is something I did make up and I really like it. I take no credit. I take no blame. I did the best I could. And I just feel like that saves me a lot of angst, like coulda, woulda, shoulda. No, we do the best we can. And if you have that intention every day and you get in line with your spirit, whoever your higher calling is, and you dedicate that day, your actions to goodness and to doing the right thing. I mean, we have to trust that we are doing the right thing, and today was a good day and tomorrow we'll get up and do it all over again.
Yes. And you mentioned to me after, I think it was your hypnosis session, the difference of what you were saying to yourself before and after. I thought that was amazing, if you'd be willing to share that.
Oh, I'd love to share that. That was, well, first of all, as I told you, I was not into it. So I had signed up for this coaching course. I want to write a book and I want to, do some other things. And part of that was I would have a session with a hypnotist, exactly who you are, Leslie. If I would have known you, I would say, oh, I'd love to have a session with Leslie. Now I will say that, but
and we're going to give you one. So
yeah. And before that, I was like, okay, let's just get this over with. This is a lot of woo woo. And, I'm sure I'm not going to get hypnotized, blah, blah, blah. So I put the computer in the bed. I had a nice quiet room. I put my, shades down. I had a terrible attitude about it, but I tried to go along with it because, out of respect for this professional, right? Mm-hmm. And boy, I had an epiphany. I really did. I had been struggling with what I think most women struggle with. Who am I to do this? I don't know how to run a movement. I don't even know how to run a magazine. I'm not worthy of this. And actually, I don't want to do this because I don't see the purpose. It's just hard. It's hard, right? Mm-hmm. And so I was through that session, I had a total pivot because I do lay in bed in the morning. I was laying in bed in the morning. Let me just put it that way. But before this session, I was laying in the bed every morning, kind of scared and saying, oh God, give me the ability, the courage and the will to do what is in front of me today. Please, God. And then I get out of bed and I said, I get my coffee and I get a little mojo and I get my routine down and I would start working. And so through that session, when I was in a deep trance, and I really was like, what's holding you back in? What's holding you back in? And I realized, because I feel this is my calling and my spiritual calling and my God-given path, that the devil was holding me back. And I could actually see the devil, and when the colors were washing over me, it was red. And it was just so powerful that I don't even know if I was actually, whatever, I was aware, but also I was crying. I mean, literally crying. And I had this epiphany that, oh my God, God has given me these talents. And I'm going to, from that moment forward, and from that day forward, I lay in bed in the morning and I say there with a smile on my face, thank you, God, for the ability and the courage and the will to do what is in front of me today, which is a total mindset shift. And if I hadn't had that session, I would still, I swear to God, be stuck. And I really do. And this is the other thing, Leslie, to just take it a step further. It's interesting because you and I talked about this. I am a devout Catholic, but I'm a bit of a loosey-goosey Catholic. And I do love Mass. But at our parish, and I think private parishes around the world, they are saying the St. Michael's prayer, which is defend us in battle, be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. And it goes on and on. I remember the first time I heard this, and this has been a couple years that we've been saying it. I thought that was another woo-woo thing. I said, there's no devil out there. I don't believe in the devil. I only believe in the good stuff. There's only angels out here, and I don't believe it. Mm-hmm. And that was before COVID. It was before all the shootings. It was before all the politics, before all the things that I realize now, my goodness, I guess that's a real thing. And so that has actually taken on something new for me in the enormity of that. And then having had that session of realizing that, of course, the devil doesn't want me to help women know that they have God-given talents, or that they have been given this mission, and it's a true mission, and it's given from a higher power. And of course, you don't want them to feel good about their authentic selves. They should be somebody else. They should do that. They should do that. I mean, that's like so negative. And so when you really think about it, I'm not going to go to the evilness of it, but there is something about that. Mm-hmm. And when I realized that if we are held back from all of our God-given talents and all of our God-given callings, I mean, the world is going to continue to spiral down. And if not us, who is going to make the world a better place? And so again, good people find good people. We keep bringing new people. Everybody's welcome. We got this big ball and whirlwind of good people and good things. And I always believe that love wins.
Yeah,
I believe absolutely. Love wins.
100%. Yeah. And, for those people who've been listening to me for a while, like how science explains spirituality, and our faith is just something to care about. So it's like the unconscious mind's job is to keep us safe and stuff. Right. Or the devil's trying to keep us down, and not have us save the planet or whatever. And, it has become my practice now that, first of all, I know my body enough to know when that fear or anxiety is the devil, or it is my unconscious mind trying to keep me from stepping into my greatness and, being the leader that I am and doing what's being asked of me. And I do believe that I've been being asked, to do this all along. But to know that, like, to go towards that anxiety is actually the way that actually, and I think, for so many people, and maybe that you can share a little bit, because I'm curious about their strengths. Like, for me, with my strengths, maybe that just becomes more of an automatic thing. Like, people say to me like, oh, Leslie, you're so courageous and you're so brave. But to me, it's never felt like I've had an option, because the pain of staying and not listening to what I know that I am supposed to be doing is like the worst and doesn't make me happy at all. But if it wasn't for me taking and leaving my nursing job, was a huge leap of faith that, I started a meditation practice during that time. And during my meditation, where I was just terrified of leaving my ICU job, but I just, the anxiety was just building and building. And I was, trying so hard because I'm a perfectionist and never quit at anything. And it just, right. And I needed some kind of kick. But during my meditation, I got this download that was just like, thy will be done. Like, just this instantaneous, like, voice, but not voice. It just went through my body. I would never say that myself. And like, I just felt liberated. And right after that, I wrote my resignation letter and knew that it was okay to leave. And just have had these little signs. I've had like very, angelic dreams that are different than a regular dream. Yeah, just trusting that path. But yeah, so just, I think because I've experienced that pain and realized through entrepreneurship, which I think is the best way to be on your spiritual path, because you have to face this every damn day.
Yeah.
I know you can attest to, right? But because I've had those experiences under my belt, now I'm a little bit more courageous to continue to say yes regularly to those scary things and know that that is the access to everything.
Yeah. It doesn't, what do they say? It doesn't, it's not to you, it's for you. Right. And so, but there's so many little, sayings that we have that, he doesn't bring you to it if he doesn't bring you through it. But I really believe that, that's why you have to surround yourself with people that are going to help you, encourage you, because it's hard to get out of that mindset sometimes all by yourself, right? Unless you, and I think that, I would imagine that you learn as much from your clients as they learn from you. And it's, good people are attracted to you. So it's really interesting how you have to be open to that. And I think the other thing that you mentioned, the miracles are all around us if we just have eyes to see them, right?
Yes.
You can look at things two ways all the time. And I think trust and patience, are virtues. And, sometimes we just have to wait for the goodness to come from some scary moments that we've been through, right? You can, as Christy Boltz would say, we can do hard things. It's always worth it.
Yeah, I just wrote an email to my list the other day around just what an invitation to look at what life is teaching you right now.
Mm.
And one of my favorite things that I say a lot is like diamonds form under pressure.
Oh,
And again, it's all happening for us. And it is like, if you're able to step back, because it is painful, like there is a lot of pressure that happens as you're doing whatever you're doing, raising a family or like whatever you're building and creating. And as women, we are constantly, up to something and making things happen. Of just really looking at that. And but to see the lessons that's being taught. And it's like, if we actually can look at that and say, oh, I'm being taught how to let go of still some of my, for me, I've been sharing of like babying even my team it's like people have it. Like, I'm not responsible for their emotions, even though I teach emotional mastery. Like, and if I embody that, right, and I create that spaciousness within me and I trust that for them, they can rise to a different occasion as well, right? And just seeing where those patterns also translate over into relationships and other aspects of life. And so it's not easy to let go of those things because, if, we, all of our patterning from our childhood and upbringing that had these, codependent tendencies or ways of being or whatever, they felt that feels safer, right? Because it prevents us from being abandoned and like all the primal fears that our unconscious mind, again, is trying to keep us from the devil, right? Or trying to bring us towards. And so, when detaching from that and getting present, then it allows me to just like be in gratitude more often day to day and say like, okay, this is painful. It's hard, but I can see what's happening, and I'm like thankful because on some level, and I always say this to my clients, is you are always getting exactly what you're asking for.
Yeah, that's
The
scary.
difference is whether or not you're aware of what you're asking for.
Mm-hmm.
It is all happening for you if you're looking at it, but it could feel like, my coach loves to say, like things are falling together, but it feels like things are falling apart. And that's when these parts of ourselves come out of like worst case scenario and, black and white thinking and hard on yourself and trying to muster yourself through your day every day versus, thank you for the courage. And I'm here to listen and give me what I need to show up for the day today. And I trust that everything's happening as it should. And when I was first finding my freedom from food, body, and weight stuff, all I was Googling was, I just want to achieve inner peace. That's all I wanted, and recently I heard a quote that I've been sharing from Dr. Joe Dispenza saying, you could have the best diet, you could eat organic and vegan and supplements and have the best therapists and all the rest. But if you never learn how to master how to respond to what's going on in your life day to day, you are continuing to make cells that are built off stress hormones that create disease and cancer and, whatever else. And, if we're not present to that and listening to the calling and learning how to better respond to whatever in your environment is causing you to do the patterns that don't work, right? Or getting in the way of you listening, or like even stepping into a space like Ann and I are talking that we both got the chance to do and do every day. That's the opportunity to move through,
Yeah, I think it really points to resilience, and it's often, I think it isn't as important, made as important as it should be, because it's really, not what you get. It's really how you handle what you get. And we know that as an entrepreneur, because it is a roller coaster, and it's really, if it is to be, it's up to us, right? I mean, when you're an entrepreneur, it's your business. No matter what happens, I don't even care what happens with my team. It ultimately points to me. And so I will take full responsibility there. I, maybe could coach better. I could have given better, directions. I know what I'm good at on those things, and that's why I have to bring other people in that give better strategic directions. And I just think we have to give ourselves grace. I mean, again, we're all doing our best. But the other thing about it is, and this is my contention about women, I don't even care if you have your own business, because if you're a woman, you have to be entrepreneurial. I mean, or you're going to sink. I mean, unless you've got somebody else that's taking care of everything, because we just take care of so many people, so many things, and we ticked off all the things that we take care of in one day compared to our lovely men who we adore. It's insane. But so we're all spinning, multiple plates. And it seems like that's, I think, when women get a little bit overloaded, and they just don't know where to stop and put the boundaries in, because they don't have any self-care or self-reflection. They just one foot in front of the other, get up the next day, one foot in front of the other, but they never think about, really what's inside of them, what's inside of my mind, and we all want to be, I think people want to be better. Nobody wants to just stay status quo. So you have to, that's when you need a great coach to help you get off the snide and see things in you that you may not have really appreciated before.
Yeah, or help you see the path that they can see for you that you may not be present to as you're going through it from this lens.
Yeah.
Can really just rewire your way of showing up and knowing better ways to respond to your environment and get present to the gifts that are, like you're saying, there's miracles all around us happening at all times. And there's nothing like just getting to experience it and be in the present moment and feel the gratitude for it. And I just want that for everyone. And, I think that's possible. And I think that's a place where I just appreciate that we're both kind of up to the same thing in those ways, empowering women to take the space. So what do you recommend for a woman who is, going through, trudging through life, and, how can they stop? What if everything falls apart? Like, any recommendations you have for them?
Well, I think, first of all, it's always okay. So I think that's, you've got to, I truly, I don't know where I'd be if I didn't have faith that it's always okay. No matter what's happening, I know that it will be fine. And because, I just believe that. And so you have to know that. And also just, again, take time for yourself. I think, the whole work-life balance is important. And it's okay if you don't get it all done today. You get up and you do it tomorrow. So I think that's something, is to give ourselves grace that, we had a good day, we're doing our best, but it's also good to be able to relax. It's great to get your book. It's great to take a walk. Those are all things that are good for you, that I think women that came before us, honestly, never thought about it. We never really put ourselves first. And we know that we can't help others if we don't help ourselves. In fact, I think they've said that God helps those that help themselves. And so I really think that that's like a green light, if you will, for us to take good care of ourselves, so that we can do that for others and find that peace. It's there for you. And I think surrounding yourself with people that lift you up versus you feel like crap when you leave their presence, or there's people like that you can just say goodbye to. And it could be family, it could be friends, and you can still love people, but you don't have to give them your time, which is very precious. It's a precious commodity these days. And the older I get, the less time I see that I'm going to have. So I really feel you get older, it goes faster, because we have a lot to do. We have a lot to do. So take care of yourself, make time for your spiritual side, your mental side, your physical side. I think all of those things, and I do try to do those 3 things every day: a little exercise, a little prayer, a little quiet time. It makes for a good day.
Totally. And I always say to my clients, like, treat yourself like a science experiment because, for example, I just read a book that was called Doing Less by Kate Northrup. I don't know if you've heard of her.
Mhm.
Her mom is Christine Northrup, who has all these women's health
Yes, I've
stuff.
heard of her. Yes, of
Yeah.
course.
And I've studied all of this before, but just like the cycles of the moon, right? And actually planning your schedule around it, and also your menstrual cycle, whether you're, postmenopausal or not, you still have a cycle that you like are more, and the resistance of like, yes, but I want to get this done today. But it's like, well, the best time to do that would be this time, right? So I can see myself, but I was like, let me just experiment with it. Let me just put this off a couple weeks and see if it actually happens, right? And it's just like, I think that my willingness to experiment, right? And be like, well, all right, I'm willing to, maybe I will gain some weight by eating carbs again after years of not doing it. But what could be on the other side if I actually do it? Oh, a lifetime of never having to obsess about this anymore. Like, kind of worth it, but I'll never know if I don't try. So, for someone listening, if taking time for yourself or, asking for help or going down a spiritual path is something that's foreign, but like still feels something inside or whatever, it's just like, just experiment with it, try it for, a month or a week or whatever, and just see
Yeah.
if you notice a difference. I remember when I was living in India, um, I had a coach at the time and I wanted more support or whatever. And I was afraid of letting go of the finances to get that for myself. And
Mhm.
she was like, just try it for a month, hire a cleaner and hire all the things and get the support that you need. And, see if the world falls apart or maybe you'll make more money. And that the latter was true. And, and then it just was like, okay, well, more evidence that, this is how energy works. And if I just keep playing with it, then life can get better and better. So
I love that nothing's permanent, right? I mean, so
Mm.
try it. You may like it. And I love that
Yeah.
mindset there, because otherwise how sad it is if we didn't try some of the things that we were afraid of. Life, that makes life rich. And we only
Mhm.
have one of them. So we only have one life. So make it as rich as we possibly can, and say yes when you can. And it's okay if it didn't work out that time, but it's eventually it works out for the greater good.
Definitely. And the part that I also love that you brought up, Anne, when talking about the devil, because you mentioned about like, I never believed it in the past. And they were like, I only believe in angels. And this is that I find that, that when people are pushing down the darkness, right, when they're actually like not acknowledging the shadow part, of everything that we're doing and who we are and life and all the aspects, then that actually doesn't allow the energy. In hypnosis, we acknowledge everything that we don't want, the brownies and the cookies and the pasta and the pizza. Like, we say the things, and most of the time it's like we're just trying so hard to avoid them, but actually it's saying it, acknowledging it, looking at it, facing it is like what allows the energy to move, to then allow, the inspiration and the
Mm,
good stuff to come in. So, that's my thing that I think makes, what we do different than other people, is the fact that we're doing the emotional mastery and we're looking at the shit.
yeah.
Like, let's actually dig and feel it, and, but faster in a productive way, right? So that you can get to the space of feeling positive. And again, the inspiration comes in, and now I know exactly what steps I want to take. And it's like rinse and repeat over and over again. And this is how you get to master life. Um, and I'm curious, I would love to hear, Anne, like, of you like bragging on your community, because I'm excited to go to your event in North Carolina, right?
Yeah,
Where you
in North
live,
Carolina.
in October. October?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
25th through the
I'm looking
27th.
for, yes, please. And you can tell anyone else that you want to invite how to get there. Um, but just, I don't know, any stories that you see of women, that are in your community that have overcome major things, or after they did your strengths assessment. I would love to just, hear some testimonials to inspire people.
Well, thanks for asking that. I mean, there are so many stories. I mean, you can find all the stories on our website of dew.life. As a matter of fact, I'm so glad you asked, because our publication, our spring, I wish I had a picture of it here. I do not see it. Oh, hold on a second. Hold on.
Okay.
I was like, oh, I can't, I'd have to like go, I'd have to go out. See, you
Oh,
can't,
cool. You can
Yeah.
speak on it a little bit.
you can't, everyone, I love how this is live. You can't really see it because of I've got a virtual thing, but
Yeah.
anyway,
I can see her sitting there. It looks nice.
isn't it great? But anyway, the thing about it is I just read it cover to cover. So I adore the stories from the women that we've come across. They're women first. They happen to have had toe in dentistry at one point or another, but they open up their hearts and their minds, and they just are very vulnerable and share stories of the good, bad, and the ugly. And that I think gives us all hope. So, we've just attracted just amazing women in dentistry. You met, I think, most of the women in Vanessa's organization are dues. And because you find your group, it's kind of like find a tribe, find your village, find a group of people that are going to be there to hold your hand when you're having a bad day, and actually share the stories. Because people will look at me and think, oh, I've never had a problem in my entire life. Well, let's just sit down. I'll tell you a little bit about how we got from point A to point B. And at the same time, I'm going to say I've been very fortunate. And so I expect a lot out of myself. But people, women that come to us, they want to sit at our table, have that same mindset of like no scarcity mentality, abundance. How can I help you? And the answer is always in the room. So we'll get together with a group and we'll have 150 at our retreat. And hopefully you'll leave knowing everyone there and have their contacts so that you can reach out, because together, we make a huge difference. It's a lonely walk to be an entrepreneur, or you're in your own business, or to not have a community at wherever you are. Even as an entrepreneur, because they're entrepreneurs and they're intrapreneurs. But I think women take on every job. I've took on every job, Leslie, that I ever had as a hygienist, as my own business. And I think some of my bosses thought I was being kind of sassy, but I really felt like I had ownership in it. And I think most women, wherever they are, they take ownership in their work life, their family life, their spiritual life, all of those things, their health life. We take ownership in it. And when you take ownership, you have to acknowledge the good and the bad. I love how you said that, because I remember in that session, I never really ever thought that the devil was even close to me until that moment. And to your point, once I acknowledged it, I knew that I was on a different path. And so I'm excited to just, continue to grow and grow our movement of inspiring and empowering and connecting all women, because I think it's in the connection that we gain clarity, not only for ourselves, but about other people. And it helps you love yourself, which I love about the strengths. What am I good at? What did God give me? I love myself more because I acknowledge it. And I love you more because I know that you have your strengths and that God makes great things. So, just again, everybody's welcome. Do.life. Come on over. Come join us. If you could, we have a free newsletter too. So if you want to read some of the stories, they're always posted in our newsletter. And I know you're going to write for us, and it'll be in our newsletter, and they will get it. And I know we'll get you one of the editions coming up.
Amazing. Thank you. So that's DEW.life, you said?
Yep. DEW.life.
Amazing. And people can find out how they can join and get on the mailing list and come to your event. And yeah, I agree that women do it better together. So thank you for creating
I'm going to use that. Can I steal that?
Yeah.
Do it better together.
I thought you already were using it. But
no, that's a new one. Do it better together. I like it.
Just say a great new hypnotherapist friend of mine said.
Love it.
Amazing. I love it. And thank you so much for being here. And if anyone is ready to start looking at your shadow side when it comes to food, body, and weight, then check out hpwl.co and book a call, and my team will be in touch with you very soon. So thanks for being here, and we'll see you for the next episode.
Thanks for having me, Leslie.
Yeah,
it was fun.
If you are serious about taking action on your struggle with food, body, and weight, then this is for you. Go ahead and text the word hypnosis to 855-BE-ALIVE. That's 855-232-5483. Immediately after texting that number, you will get access to our free training that will tell you why you can't figure the food, body, and weight thing out, why you can't keep weight off even after you've been successful in the past, and how to actually overcome it, including a mini hypnosis session at the end. Don't miss out. Text the word hypnosis to 855-BE-ALIVE. That's 855-232-5483.